Continuing from the last movie, as we can see, what we're actually doing here with these blue arrows is we're granting access between different schemas. What we're actually doing here effectively between this concerts and customer schema is that we're granting access between different schemas, between different usernames. So it's customary to actually create a schema and put a table structure in it and add the data in there, and then create a customer schema on the outside that gets access to specific data objects and specific types of activities within the other schema containing all the tables. You can do this in various ways, as I've already said. We'll get to that. We can even grant access not only at the table level and at the data level, but even at the column level in addition to the table. So we can actually grant access from one person to another, including specific columns in a table rather than all the columns in the table, as you can see here. And going back to that previous diagram here, one method of granting access to objects as in tables and picking off data at the row level for a customer. In other words, a customer can only see certain rows. That one method is to use views. What you actually do is you create a view that allows you to get select access, say, to the act table, but only pull out the acts that are applicable to a specific customer, such as a specific venue. So effectively what that particular venue would have is one venue row, and then all the other rows that relate to that particular venue for that particular customer in the concert schema. And then there is something I like to call groupings. These are roles. What you do is you take privileges, either object privileges, things that look at tables, or even system privileges, such as things that allow you to create tables and indexes, and you assign them to roles. So you have a role that contains a group of privileges. Then you can assign that role to a specific user. We'll get into the details later on, but it's basically very simple. There are also certain types of ways to apply things in Oracle as being public or private. Namely, certain types of objects such as synonyms can be declared as being public. Public means that anyone can access it. You still have to have access to the underlying things that that public thing is looking at. There are also some special roles, sharing of resources and profiling. This is to do with, partially to do with security, where you can distribute the processing power of a machine, CPU resources and so on and so forth, to specific users. So one user could get 10%, another one could get 90%. The profiles allow you to store a security type profile that applies to a specific user that gives them access to different things. There are some specific metadata views that you can use to look at all the privileges assigned across the database. In the case of the user views, they obviously apply to a specific user, and it's all about sys for system privileges, as you can see here. Tab is actually privileges granted between tables, which would be object privileges. There's also column privileges, and role privileges, things assigned to roles. There are other views that relate to this particular topic as well that we will get into further on in this chapter. The last concept we need to look at with respect to Oracle security and all the bits and pieces is how it all fits together. The schemas and the users are part of the Oracle database. Privileges, such as object and system privileges, get applied to things in the database, as in to users and objects in users, that allow access between different users. We can also group privileges into things called roles that can also then be assigned to users, allowing users and schemas to access those things through the roles, through the privileges. Roles are privilege grouping mechanisms. And obviously you can actually create multiple layers of roles in a hierarchy and assign roles to roles, making it rather complicated, but that's the way it works. and it does work rather well.